Good afternoon and thank you. It is my great honor to introduce your commencement keynote speaker, life and leadership strategist and best-selling author of Empowered to Prosper, Natalie Fikes. Natalie was born in Kingston, Jamaica during a tumultuous time in the island's history in 1980. Riots broke out and the government troops were called to restore order amid the political violence. At just 9 days old, Natalie's cry awakened her young parents who noticed someone was in the home, helping them avoid a fatal home invasion. She and her family escaped to Queens, New York shortly thereafter. However, life in the US for Natalie was the beginning of an unstable childhood. Her parents split, and she was raised as an only child by her single mother. She was a latchkey kid who braved the streets of New York City all on her own. Although Natalie excelled academically, her constant moving around limited her opportunities and isolated her from peer groups. She found solace in track and field as well as the arts. After years of verbal and physical abuse, Natalie's home life became unbearable, causing her to leave at 16, just a few months after relocating to Northern Virginia. While sleeping on a mattress at a friend's house, she was one of 5 students selected through her school's DECA program to participate in the first customer service training class for Geico's emergency road service. After graduating high school, Natalie was then hired at the local Verizon call center. While she found peace in the stability that her job provided, she felt a profound emptiness. Realizing she had spent her entire life surviving, she had no standard by which to measure her own success. Natalie started on a self-development journey, and by 2003, Natalie became the youngest African-American female in management for Verizon's Southeast region. Despite leaving home as a teen, Natalie believed deeply in the ability to overcome her circumstances with resilience and a commitment to making a difference. Natalie had a desire to do meaningful work and started Code Next Generation, otherwise known as Teen Vocal, a youth organization that successfully transitions youth into adulthood. Her work has led her to be named one of John Maxwell's top 100 leaders in 2015, with participants of Code Next Generation receiving White House recognition from President Obama for exceptional community service. In the year 2020, Natalie launched the Greater Purpose Society and the Greater Purpose System, which provides practical tools to help individuals take their life and leadership into the next level. Today, Natalie is a life and leadership strategist who helps professionals implement systems that improve efficiency and create the life that they want. She is the CEO of Breakthrough to Millions, LLC, a training and development firm that creates educational resources, events, and opportunities for a better life. She has also served as a central regional manager for the International Association of Women, as well as the COO of the African American Association of USA, the Central Regional Director of Training and Development for Black Wall Street USA, and regularly volunteers at the City of Refuge in Atlanta, Georgia. Her greatest accomplishment is overcoming an unstable childhood of both verbal and physical abuse, also raising her sister Sarah, who is now a successful leader and entrepreneur, and becoming a committed mother to her 2 sons, Elijah and Jaden. She was recently named the 73rd Georgia Mother of the Year by American Mothers. One of Natalie's core beliefs is to add value to others. She is on a relentless mission to help youth and young adults maximize their potential to do purposeful work that transforms our world. She does so through public speaking, coaching, consulting, writing, and acting, which inspired her to author the #1 bestseller, Empowered to Prosper. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Natalie Fikes.
Not bad for a latchkey kid, huh? Board of Trustees, DeVry administrators, distinguished faculty, alumni, family members, and you, the DeVry University graduating class of 2023. I am so proud of you. Today is a particular honor for me because my presence on this stage does not fit the mold of traditional commencement speakers. And the way my life has been set up, most would consider this occasion pretty unlikely. As you heard, I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. Prom prom! And migrated to Queens, New York in the 80s. MTV and Video Music Box when it was 24 hours. Raised me. My permanent address, change. Named Natalie Nicole after Natalie Cole. Music lived inside of me. All I ever wanted to do was dance. All I ever wanted to be was unforgettable. But all I ever had was rhythm and blues. With big lips and curious eyes, I quickly worked my way to the front of my dance classes, called upon by my teachers to lead the new 8 count. But like the changing of a channel during your favorite song, when it came time for our dance recitals, I would always have to move. My life was a big channel surf. Only I wasn't the one holding the remote, and I never knew when the channel would change. I just knew that it would. One day after dance class, my hip-hop teacher encouraged me to try out for a solo for the upcoming recital. The song, "It takes two to make a thing go right." Yeah! It takes two to make it out of sight. Oh! Yeah! Oh. Sorry. Whew, flashback. Whew. By Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. All I remember is hearing, "All right now, Easy Rock now. When I count to 3, I want you to get busy with me. You ready now? 1, 2, 3, get loose now." I must have got loose, because the next thing I know, someone was shaking me as if to wake me from a dream. And then all of the children and the teachers started running up to me and telling me what an amazing job that I did. I just got lost in the 8 count. It was great, it was wonderful. I mean, I got the part. But it was the dress rehearsal, the costume fitting that really took my breath away. I felt complete. As if waiting to exhale, I stood before a full-length mirror, and for the first time ever, I saw my reflection. I smiled. And then the next day, I moved. I didn't dance much after that. Instead, I was glued to the television set As an only child and latchkey kid, I didn't have much choice. With a mouth full of pineapple now-laters, I watched attentively as an animated commercial produced by Tootsie Roll appeared on the screen. A young boy with a Tootsie Pop in hand approaches a turtle shell and says,
Mr. Turtle, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Mr. Turtle pops his head out of his shell and says,
I never made it past biting. Ask Mr. Owl.
The boy walks up to an owl resting on a branch and says,
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Mr. Owl takes the Tootsie Pop from the little boy, takes the wrapper off and says,
Well, let's see. 1,
as he takes his first lick.
2, 3.
And then crunch. He bites down on the Tootsie Pop and the candy is gone.
3.
He says as he hands the empty stick back to the boy. That's it, I thought. If only someone could answer the bombarding questions inside of me that muffled my music and blurred my reflection, then maybe I could finally see myself in a way that represents who I truly am. And just like that, I'm at my favorite uncle's house. The house where all of my family coming to America passed through to get on their feet. My uncle, the only person who had a smile in his voice when he said my name. Well, my nickname. Nuts. With a thick Jamaican accent, always with a smile, like a song. One particular evening, my uncle gathered the family together in the living room, and one by one, he began to tell each person, as if some sort of ceremonial rite of passage, who they were. Yes, I thought, as I anxiously waited my turn. Finally, I will know who I am so I can make sense of why I'm here. Who better to tell me than my favorite wise owl of an uncle? Next up was my older cousin. I was always with her and her sister, so I knew my time was near. You, my uncle said to my cousin, you are the pretty one. Then he turns to her sister. His countenance dropped. You're the bad one. You give too much trouble. And then, like in slow motion, he turns to me and says, Nuts, with a smile, like a song. You're all right. You're just all right. In that moment, I felt like the boy in the Tootsie Pop commercial, holding an empty stick, a wandering wanderer, thrust in a world I didn't fit in. As I look at you fitted in your designated accomplishments, I see a new generation called upon to remake the world. My heart is filled with so much joy because this is no dress rehearsal. No, maybe next time. Nah, you did that. You did that. Oh yeah, you've courageously taken the future into your hands, boldly removed the wrapper of resistance, and fearlessly face the licks of life with tenacity, persistence, and creed. And that's a big deal. You are a big deal. My purpose here today is not to represent some wise owl called upon to give you answers to questions that can only be learned through living, but to serve as a mirror that introduces you to a part of yourself you didn't know existed. To remind you to never stop dancing, because the ending of one song is the beginning of another. So it's okay to keep on moving. And to urge you to step up. We need you. We need you to do something, to create something, to become something, to make the world wake up, stand up, speak up. We need leaders with a willingness to question conventional wisdom and brave enough to tune into your own voice, leaving behind the dreams of yesterday to build a future forward. We need you to know that you are more than just all right. You are necessary. So say it again, like, feels like Mufasa, say it again. I am necessary. Say it with me and put something in your neck when you say it. Matter of fact, turn to somebody and say, I am necessary. Turn to the other person with your tassel swinging and say, I am necessary. Yes, you are. Henry Longfellow once said, we judge ourselves by what we feel capable of doing, while others judge us by what we've already done. At 16 years old, I could no longer feel anything. So I left home determined to find some sort of meaning for my life. I didn't make it past the front lobby of the school before Trinice, we called her Chewy, noticed something was wrong, listened to me, and invited me to come home with her. Without hesitation, her mother and father, Rosemarie and Timothy White, took me in, gave me a bed, and a chance to exhale. At 17, after being one of 5 students selected from my high school DECA program, you know I'm proud of that, I keep repeating that, right? Yeah. I entered corporate America, and just like that, my trajectory changed. It turns out that these big lips and curious eyes were good for more than wondering. I was a natural at sales, training, and leadership. I bought a house at 19, and at 23, I was the youngest African-American female in management for Verizon Southeast region. And I did that by taking all of the underperformers to the top of the sales district. Oh, I'm more than just all right. All right. I was in no doubt I was in the fast lane to success. But underneath my big smile and fancy suits, well, they weren't all that fancy. They were from TJ Maxx, but they were fancy to me, right? And my #1 sales team, I still woke up every day feeling like an irrelevant nobody's nothing. I felt like I was suffocating from the smoking mirrors of life, a life that I created but didn't want. There's a quote by a spiritual teacher named Barbara DeAngelis that says, "The moment in between where you once were and who you are now becoming is where the dance of life really takes place." Okay, you can clap right there. it takes two to make a thing go right. Okay. My moment in between happened at the climax of my career when I tore my Achilles tendon. Unable to do anything but sit and heal, my only companion was the noise within me. I began to break dance with God. What do you want from me? His silence loud. I got louder. And for what felt like hours, I spewed bitterness and rage that I didn't even know was inside of me. He never interrupted me and surprisingly didn't strike me down. Even when I expressed my utter disgust for his process and that, quite frankly, I felt like he sucked at his job. I was exhausted, but he never cut me up, never questioned my tone, just listened. I really needed that. With the weight of the world that was weighing me down, now in the hands of its creator, I rested. The next day, I woke up. I was surprised. And I woke up lighter, with a peace that passes all understanding. I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt understood. I felt like I had permission to be myself. And from that moment forward, that's exactly how I started showing up in the world, as me. I stopped searching for what I wanted to see in the world and created it. A safe space where people of all ages can get the tools they need to just simply live life the way that they want. And a place for youth and young adults to get their questions answered so they can just stop searching and can successfully transition into adulthood. I stopped wondering who I should be and started becoming who I wanted to be, at peace with and proud of the woman that I saw looking back at me in the mirror. I started talking back to that voice in my head that, regardless of my accomplishments, tried to convince me that I was just all right. I started saying, no, I am necessary. Until little by little, that little voice went away, because I am necessary. And that's why I'm here today, because I decided that I am necessary and did whatever I needed to do to prove myself right. Can you imagine what our world will look like when leaders know that they are necessary? Can you imagine what our community will look like when our youth know that they are necessary? Can you imagine what your family will look like when they know that they are necessary? I urge you, from this moment forward, to get lost in the 8 count of your deepest passion and pour what you love into everything that you do. We can no longer allow the cavities of our gluttonous ambitions to limit our lives to a meager existence. Instead, we must allow our personal convictions to remove the decaying hope of freedom and justice for all that can only be actualized through maximized potential, a clear sense of purpose, and the courage to become who we were created to be. Because face it, future generations don't want to be like us. We don't want to be like us. Exhausted wanderers with a sweet tooth for freedom, imprisoned by societal lures, wrapped in sweet promises that create a binge of busyness as we aimlessly search for answers to questions to feed our egos, not fuel our destinies. Enchanted by the sugar rush of our pursuits, we set out on the yellow brick road of life, desperate to fill our empty sticks by some wizard, only to find out that the turtle-shelled, owl-shaped wizard never made it without biting the bait of contaminated capitalism that breaks the backs of individuals, families, and communities upon whose thriving feet rest the ruby slippers of our ancestors' dreams. No, future generations want to be inspired. Future generations want to feel necessary. Future generations know that they won't see what they don't create. So in this moment, the moment in between where you once were and who you are now becoming, will you meet me on the dance floor of life, where we create the change we want to see in the world, the future we desire? Will you step up and do something, create something, become something that inspires others to wake up, show up, and speak up? Will you believe once and for all that no matter where you come from or what you go through, that you are more than just all right? You are absolutely necessary. And if you weren't here, something would be missing. So if you're ready to stand DeVry proud, on the count of 3, I want you to say, I am necessary. All right now? Are you with me now? 1, 2, 3. I am necessary. Yes, you are. Congratulations, graduates.